The BitBoy Crypto, Ben Armstrong, recently tweeted about Somnia. Not insomnia, the Somnia network. And I don't know anything about it. And so today on the stream, I want to learn about it. Do you want to learn with me? Do you want to join me on the learn? The idea is that we come from nowhere and go somewhere in our knowledge quest. And in this case, the quest is the quest for learning about a cryptocurrency blockchain called Somnia. Now, why do I want to do this? I don't know. I think there's a... Well, first of all, when BitBoy Crypto tweets, you know you're in for a wild ride. He's been going through an interesting time, let's just say. And so sometimes when he tweets, you just don't pay any attention to it because you're wondering whether it's legitimate or it's not. It could all just be part of the game. Then you wonder other times, is this a paid tweet? Is someone just taking control of his Twitter or his X account and posting on his behalf for money? Usually it's all about money, right? So this one should be there's no difference to this tweet in how I read this tweet. There should be no difference in the way I receive the tweet. However, it did alert me to something that we don't know anything about. Well, let's read the tweet first. Let's read the tweet. So this is what he tweeted. Most blockchains people are using today can't handle what's coming next. Most crypto can you see that? Most crypto platforms are still stuck in the past. High fees, slow transactions, and off-chain dependencies that make real-time applications impossible. That changes now. The Somnia network is here, a next-gen Layer 1 blockchain designed for gaming, DeFi, SocialFi. Now, that's the first time I've ever seen that phrase, SocialFi. And the metaverse at a Web 2 scale, lightning bolt. With 400,000 transactions per second, sub-second finality, and low fees, Somnia unlocks the fully on-chain future we've been waiting for. Here's why you need to know about the Somnia network now before the token and mainnet launch. Number one, fully on-chain gaming. No more off-chain game servers. Every action, every asset truly on-chain. Every action and every asset. So everything, even the rendering of the game? Surely not. I don't play games, but that's intriguing. Decentralized SocialFi. A social network where you own your own data and no one can shadow ban or censor you. Isn't that what X is? Isn't that how he can tweet out all the stuff he does? Seamless metaverse. Awesome. Just what we need. Sarcasm. True interoperability. That is a tricky word to say. True interoperability where digital assets flow between virtual worlds. DeFi 2.0? We didn't even get DeFi 1.0, did we? DeFi 2.0, real-time, high-speed trading with fully on-chain limit order books. Okay. It's Web 3 without limits. So instant, large-scale apps built on blockchain without compromising speed or user experience. Unlike other fast blockchains, in inverted commas, fast blockchains that sacrifice EVM compatibility, Somnia keeps everything Ethereum compatible, meaning devs can migrate seamlessly while gaining unmatched performance. This isn't just another blockchain, it's a revolution. Somnia is where Web 3 finally meets Web 2 and mass adoption begins. Are you ready for the fully on-chain era? Don't sleep on Somnia. Now that's tagged today, a little whiles ago. Yes, it's had 131 comments, 138 likes, 21 retweets. This won't work. They'll ask me to sign in. I'm not going to do that. However, I will state that reads almost exactly like an ad. Surely if that's going to be an ad, they've got to state that that's an ad, right? That's a paid ad. That's not him. I mean, the last thing he wrote on Twitter was him talking about, well, I don't want to make light of it, but his other situation, he was tweeting about finding a bridge. And I don't mean a bridge across chains. So for him to post like that, that's obviously a paid promotion, someone doing it on his behalf, right? But that doesn't mean we can't look into what Somnia is. I mean, the mission has been successful here. At this point, BitBoy has alerted a Twitter user, an ex-user, someone who's scrolling. He's alerted them to the very existence of something that they knew nothing of before. And now it's up to that person, that's me, to do their own research and to learn about it before they make any decisions. Now, there are a few things that this tweet already alerts you to, and I guess the first one is urgency. I mean, he does say here, you got to be ready for this. Are you ready? Don't sleep. So, and the other thing before was it's not it hasn't mainnet launched yet, so the token doesn't exist as yet. However, you're not too late to get in. So there's this urgency, right? There's this thing that he's managed to successfully do to get someone like me to learn about it with no delay. So that's why we're doing this stream today. So if you want to join me on the learn, I'd love you to stick around, hang out. What do I see numbers-wise? Not a lot going on right now. That's okay. I'm going to go and grab myself a coffee. And when we come back, we'll take the learn, because there's obviously the website to look at, and then there's YouTube videos. And I want to ask ChatGPT what it knows about Somnia. So at this point, I will vacate, grab myself a coffee, come back in 5 minutes, and then we'll get in the deepness of insomnia. Somnia. I'm saying it right. Somnia, right? It's spelled Somnia. Look, it's spelled Somnia. Yeah, the dream computer. Somnia. So not insomnia, but Somnia. Okay, well, I'm not going to leave you with nothing while I go and grab this coffee. I'm going to show you a surfing clip. This is from a couple of days ago of myself surfboard riding. If I don't get back in time, then you'll see a blowfly doing aerobics on a piece of styrofoam. I'll see you shortly. All right. So, got myself a coffee and good to go, learning a little more about Somnia. That's going to be too hot. I'm going to let that sit for a moment. So while we wait for that, let's ask the ChatGPT machine, what is the Somnia network? What is the Somnia network? Searching the web. This is drawing from the internet machine. What was that noise? Don't worry about it. Somnia Network is a high-performance EVM-compatible Layer 1 blockchain designed to support mass-consumer decentralized applications, including games, SocialFi, DeFi, and metaverses. Launched in 2024 by the Virtual Society Foundation, a non-profit organization initiated by M Squared and Improbable, Somnia aims to create an open and unified virtual society. Excuse me. Somnia's architecture enables over 400,000 transactions per second with a sub-second finality and transaction fees under 1 cent. This performance is achieved through innovation in execution, database management, networking, and consensus mechanisms. Now, of course, this is still in testnet, so this has been tested, but it hasn't been proven in the global world at this point. So bear that in mind. The network also features a reactive blockchain design, allowing developers to create applications that respond instantly to real-world or on-chain events. In November 2024, Somnia launched its public DevNet, inviting developers to build and test apps on the network. To support this initiative, Somnia announced a $10 million grant program offering technical guidance, funding, and go-to-market strategies for developers. Somnia's compatibility with the Ethereum Virtual Machine, EVM, ensures that developers can utilize familiar tools and code bases, facilitating a seamless transition to building on the network. The platform's design is particularly suited for fully on-chain games, real-time prediction markets, and metaverses, enabling complex logic and data to reside entirely on-chain. Overall, Somnia Network aims to empower developers and creators to build scalable, cost-effective, and reactive decentralized apps, contributing to the evolution of a fully on-chain world. Now, when I was searching this up for my thumbnail for the Tubes of You, I noted that the logo has changed. If you do a search for Somnia logo, and then go to images, the logo has changed over the course of the little while. That might not be the greatest version of it because you didn't put the word network. Somnia Network logo. There could be other companies with a similar name, right? Yeah, this is the logo I kept seeing. This Somnia one here, this one in black. And then this version of it here, the Metaverse Computer. And the trouble with that is, and most of these look dated because this one down here, this is the current version. That little thing there, that's the current version of the logo. So what I'm doing, or what I'm trying to work out is, how long has this existed for? I mean, it said it launched in November 2024, which is not that long ago. They've already had a logo change? How long has this existed? It was launched in April of 2024. In November, it launched its public DevNet. Yeah, we know that. The testnet has been operational for approximately 10 months. So how come the logo changed? How come the logo has changed? As of now, there is no publicly available info indicating that Somnia Network has changed its logo. What? I mean, I just searched it up and it bloody well comes up right here, dude. Look at all these, look at this. The Metaverse Computer, Somnia, right here. I mean, that's a different logo than this one. Maybe the font, maybe I should be more specific because the actual graphic hasn't changed, but the font has. It's possible that any perceived changes in the logo could be due to design updates or variations. The font has definitely changed. The font has 100% changed. I apologize for any confusion in my previous response. Upon further research, I couldn't find specific info regarding a change in Somnia Network's logo font. It's possible that any perceived changes are due to design updates. They just said that. Do I have to give you the freaking logo, dude? Look, I'll give it to this. Can I just drag that in there? I gotta put it on my desktop. I'll give it that on my desktop. And I'll give it this. Excuse me, get that off there. Here's the old one. Here's the old one. Desktop. What's it called? One. And here's the new one. What's this one called? Full. What did it say? I appreciate you sharing the previous version of Somnia Network's logo. While I couldn't locate specific details about the logo or font change in the available sources, it's not uncommon for companies, especially in the tech sector, to update their branding. These updates can include changes to logos, color schemes, typography. Comparing the two logos, it's clear that Somnia Network has changed its font style significantly. The original logo had a bold geometric font with sharp edges, while the newer one has softer. The kind of change usually happens for branding refinement. No official statement yet. Slight cause for concern. I'm just being pedantic here, but if the logo has changed in, less than 10 months, it could be a slight cause for concern depending on the context. If a company slightly changes its branding without any announcement, it might suggest internal restructuring, a shift in branding strategy, or even a change in leadership. In the crypto blockchain space, where trust and transparency are crucial, an unannounced rebrand can sometimes raise eyebrows. Absolutely. That said, it could also just be a normal design evolution. There haven't been any major red flags like a shift in project direction, disappearing team members, or broken commitments. Then it might not be a big deal. Are you invested in Somnia or just following out of curiosity? Purely out of curiosity. So I think we can move on from this then. They just said, gotcha, you've hit the free limit plan. No way, shit. Okay, well anyway, we got to the point that we wanted to. Yes, there has been a logo change. No, there's nothing online about it. So let's go to the Somnia website and see how they promote themselves. Can we zoom that in? The dream computer, the fastest and most cost-efficient EVM-compatible layer 1 on a fully on-chain world. Discover quests, so instantly they want you to do things. There's 4 quests here. No, these are just 4 points. The lightning speed, 400,000 TPS, transactions per second. Somnia's novel multi-stream spelling typo. Shit, dude, there's typos on this page. Are you serious? Really? You're going to pay BitBoy hundreds of thousands of dollars to tweet out and you can't even get a spell checker on your freaking website? Somnia's novel multi-stream consensus. I love a consensus. This does not look good for this project if they can't even put a spell check on the fucking front page of their website. Are you serious? Anyway, let's continue. Somnia's novel multi-stream consensus and superfast custom database ICDB. This enables the highest throughput, lowest latency EVM compatible chain. EVM compatible. Somnia takes EVM byte code and compiles it. This makes execution super fast, but also means you can use all the tools and code in the EVM ecosystem. So those familiar with Ethereum shouldn't have any problem, and therefore you should also still have rather large transaction fees. Ultra low cost. Oh, hold on, maybe I got that wrong. Somnia's new IceDB database allows for more predictable gas pricing. This allows Somnia to deliver sub-cent transaction. Of course, it's the layer 1. Sub-cent transaction fees, allowing for more logic to run on chain. A reactive blockchain. Somnia's chain design, along with some solidity extensions, allows developers to react to data changes and events fully on chain. This allows for new real-time reactive on-chain. So they're very, very heavily promoting this concept of everything being on-chain. Somnia introduces a new set of reactive primitives to Solidity, enabling fully on-chain games, full real-time prediction markets that react to verifiable on-chain events, real-time consumer targeting based on on-chain interactions. A lot of real-time on-chain application, mass consumer and real-time apps. Somnia's performance and cost enable. Somnia's performance and cost. That doesn't sound right. Somnia's performance and cost reducing. Does that just not read right to you? Somnia's performance and cost enable a new class of decentralized apps that can now have all their data and logic on-chain. SocialFi, moving all the data and logic of social networks on-chain, enabling user sovereignty, greater composability, and transparency of social algorithms. I mean, that's yet to be proven, I guess. Does having an on-chain social network actually make people accountable? They can still just be, no-name avatars. There's no transparency, but the algorithm is transparent, is what they're saying. On-chain games moving logic on and data off-chain to on-chain, enabling user ownership and composable games that can be built faster and last forever. I mean, that all just sounds like waffle to me. Metaverses fully on-chain, enabling full economies with mass UGC items and experience to be created on chain. Fully own your experience and your economy. So the DevNet, the testnet, I guess, is live. Somnia's DevNet is now live and completely open to the public, giving developers a chance to build on the fastest EVM-compatible blockchain with sub-second finality. So who's been building on it? What are some of the cool apps in the DevNet? There's a blog here, a couple of blog posts. So that's what it is. They've got a light paper there at the bottom of their website. Help Center, docs, down here. Let's go to docs. Introduction. Somnia is a high-performance, cost-efficient EVM compatible layer 1 blockchain capable of processing 400,000 transactions per second. We've read all that. In early MVPs, Somnia Blockchain achieved that many transactions. We've read that already. Somnia has 4 key innovations in blockchain architecture to achieve this performance. Accelerated sequential execution through compiled EVM bytecode. The ICE database, DB, a faster, more predictable database for storing blockchain state. Okay. Multi-stream consensus, proof of stake, partially synchronous BFT protocol inspired by the Autobahn BFT. Advanced compression techniques to deal with increased node-to-node data. Okay. Somnia is supported by Improbable and M2. Improbable will develop some of the key technical components of Somnia, including the blockchain itself, but the project will require a large and active community to fulfill its vision. It'll require a community. Okay. These docs have 2 parts. The Somnia light paper, which will give you more info on the project itself, and guides and developer resources. Well, let's read the white paper then. This is a great resource. If everybody should, can we get rid of that pane there? No, we can't. This is important to read. It could be a bit tedious. It's a light paper. Okay. Maybe it's not so in-depth. The mission: to enable mass consumer real-time applications to be built at a Web 2 scale with Web 3 properties, creating a more open and equitable internet. The key objectives: applications that can scale to Web 2 usage levels, so millions of CCU and hundreds of thousands of transactions per second. Open, censorship-resistant systems accessible to anyone with access to the internet. No one counterparty controlling and hoarding value. Composable systems where value is shared among participants. This all sounds like, we've heard this before, right? This is pretty much the goal of most new projects. Free movement of people and assets between platforms so creators and users have freedom of choice. A more open and equitable world. Equitable. I can't even say that freaking word. I know what it means. It means that everyone's the same. Anyway, the core principles: on-chain experiences. We are committed to building technology to make fully on-chain, real-time, mass-scale apps possible and practical. We believe this is essential for creating a composable, open internet. Multiverse over monolith. We believe in a collection of apps, each with distinct interconnected experiences, much like countries within a global community sharing utilities that enhance mutual growth. So the blockchain could be considered the planet and the apps considered countries. Cool. Empowering composability. Central to our vision is the principle of composability, the ability for builders to build upon each other's work, creating a culture of collaboration in which the collective output surpasses the sum of its parts. Sounds wonderful. Builder empowerment. We will empower builders with the freedom to build sustainable models of engagement and ownership. This includes safeguarding the rights to digital assets and creating an environment where innovation is not stifled by platform constraints. Good. Accessibility for all. The promise of the virtual society is in its potential for universal access, removing barriers for content creation and participation, leveling the playing field such that anyone with an internet connection can participate and succeed. So, the problem. So, Web3 has created a new era of decentralized finance, democratizing financial access. However, it has fallen short in generating mass consumer apps and remains largely centered around finance. Yeah, that's true. Okay. We believe blockchain tech is a cornerstone for the future of new open internet apps. Today, there are limits to what you can build on chain. Many factors constrain this, from the cost of running apps to the fundamental performance limitations of existing blockchains. We believe that new tech can unlock a new class of real-time apps that normally must be built on Web 2. Enabling these systems to be built on-chain will allow the free movement of businesses and users between online platforms, creating what we call a true virtual society. It's a lofty goal. It's lofty. We are building Somnia, a fast and cost-effective EVM-based blockchain. To achieve this, it's a layer 1 with full EVM compatibility, capable of processing 400,000 transactions per second, sub-second finality, and low fees. This will unlock a new wave of on-chain apps. Initially, we're focusing on gaming, metaverse, and social. The use case will likely extend far beyond these sectors. We're not even 100% certain of what we can be built, but we are creating. Okay? The current state. Although many blockchains support the EVM bytecode standard, they all leave much to be desired from a throughput perspective. Below are the transactions per second figures for typical Uniswap v3 transactions, DEX swaps per second, which is 130k in gas. So what's the comparison here? On Ethereum, it's 66-second finality and 18.38 DPS. DEX swaps per second. Polygon is higher at 95. AVAX is even higher at 175. BNB is even higher at 194. These are somewhat similar to real-world observed numbers taken from ChainSpect. Note that Uniswap's more complex, and here are some block times. Max recorded TPS base of 293, BNB 117, 1,731, Polygon for okay. So do we have the testnet scores here from Somnia? They say these numbers taken from this article, translate this into DPS. It's about 6.5 DPS for every 1 MGS. I'm not sure what MGS is. So even the fastest chain on this list has a theoretical limit of 650, which is around about 3,500 TPS. So Somnia is boasting 400,000. If you go outside the EVM ecosystem, so you go out of Ethereum, you can do better. And they're citing Aptos at 30,000, Sui at 11,000 to 297. That's a big difference. Jesus, that's a huge gap. And Solana at 1,608. Okay, so how does this bottleneck occur? The bottlenecks we see today: execution speed, storage, retrieval of storing historical data, and bandwidth. So sending, storing, and receiving. Okay. The Somnia Blockchain overview. This has many innovations that will enable it to increase performance by several orders of magnitude compared to EVM chains, to other EVM. And the first one, multi-stream consensus, a proof of stake, partially synchronous BFT protocol, which includes independent data chains. Each validator operates its own blockchain or data chain, which allows for independent block production. This unique approach eliminates the need for a consensus mechanism within. Okay. I'm going to skim through this as quickly as I can because a lot of this is lost on me. Yeah, I'm not pretending to know what a lot of this means. I am understanding some of the concepts, but I mean, the proof will be in the testnet, won't it? Or as they're calling it, the devnet. They're using a consensus chain. A separate blockchain aggregates the heads of all data chains, employing a modified PBFT for proof of stake. Okay. Compiled bytecode. By translating EVM bytecode to highly optimized native code, Somnia achieves execution speeds close to handwritten C++. Faster and predictable database performance. So they got a faster, this is their IceDB. Employs performance reports for predictable read and write performance, as well as custom database architecture. 15 to 100 nanosecond. Okay. Yep. That's fast. I'm assuming nano means quick. Advanced compression techniques. So just backing out, they were talking about one of their key focuses being on SocialFi. Does that mean that there's going to be some kind of competitor to YouTube? I'm just seeing compression, advanced compression techniques. Now, when would compression become most prevalent? Usually in video uploads, right? And somewhat in still images like JPEGs and PNGs and whatnot, but mainly you're really going to notice it in video sharing. Does that mean that they're looking towards someone developing a YouTube competitor on the Somnia blockchain? The Somnia data chain architecture is designed to enable streaming compression in order to maximize data throughput. Somnia combines this with Black Label Society signature, BLS. That's not what that stands for. Aggregation, I don't know what that stands for, but it's not Black Label Society. Aggregation in order to achieve extremely high compression ratios, allowing for massive transaction data throughput. This allows theoretical performances above purported limits due to bandwidth. Okay. Multi-stream consensus. What does this show us? Data chain. Cross data chain consensus. So there's 4 data chains, 4 different blockchains. Each has their own validator. Validators read from to get global state. And they're comparing a cross chain by 4. Okay, that's a funky graphic, which means jack shit to me. I tried to understand it. I mean, I see what it is. There's 4 different blockchains, 4 different validators. Each validator creates their own validation of the chain, and somehow all 4 of them line up. Is it because there's 2 that are missing on these 2 chains? So therefore they can't compare these two. These 2 can't compare with these 2 because there's missing 2. But then what about the other 2 below it? I don't know. This might help us. In Somnia, every validator pushes their own blockchain or their data chain. This innovation was inspired. So every validator pushes their own blockchain. Publishes. That's how are they going to do that and get the speed down? If you've got to fucking download the whole chain every single time? Is that what? Every validator publishes their own blockchain and hosts it. So it's the heavy lifting goes off the chain and onto the validator node. This innovation was inspired by the 2024 white paper Autobahn Seamless High-Speed BFT. Every data chain is completely independent. So what's giving it security? Every data chain is completely independent, and each block in a data chain contains a blob of bytes. Only the owning validator ever asks blocks to their data chain. Only the owning validator ever adds blocks to their data chain. And there are no safety mechanisms in place to avoid them forking their data chain or proposing invalid blocks. In other words, the data chains have no consensus mechanism at all. That doesn't sound very safe. Somnia then includes a consensus chain, with each consensus block including the current head of every data chain. This chain uses a modified PBFT consensus algorithm and is a typical proof of stake consensus. Proof of stake consensus. Each chain does that. The consensus chain includes the tip of each data chain, just the tip, provides full security against validators forking their own data chain. You have to just trust the tech at that point. I don't get it, but I don't pretend to, and I don't think. Well, I don't get it. Each consensus block then semantically. Each consensus block then semantically includes all of the transactions in all the data chains whose tip it advanced. Okay. A deterministic pseudo-random ordering of these data chains then provides a single globally ordered stream of bytes to be executed across all data chains. This sounds way more bandwidth intense, right? Sounds like you're going to have to have way more overhead. Unless I'm understanding it all wrong, which is probably part of it. This setup completely decouples the production and distribution of new data with the consensus algorithm. It has a number of crucial benefits described below in the advanced compression techniques section. For example, the streaming compressions, which let this data front end reach almost a gigabit per second. So each chain is publishing and writing and modifying the whole chain individually. And that's gonna allow it to be quicker and less bandwidth. I don't get it. I do not get that. If you read this to me and said this is going to make things faster, I'd say it sounds like it's going to make things slower. Accelerated sequential execution. By the way, this might be getting too deep. You know, I don't really need to know all this, except it's kind of cool to read, because if this fails, then these lofty goals have just been like unachievable. A large number of modern blockchains have attempted to scale their execution using parallelism. Fuck, man, there's so many new words in this doc. This means they execute transactions which are unrelated on different cores. This can work well when the transactions are in a block are unrelated, but breaks down when those transactions modify the same state. The reality, however, is that load spikes most often happen when there is some event which has caused the spike. This implies a massive correlation between the transactions, which is not normally there in day-to-day transactions. For example, one of Ethereum's biggest load spikes was in the other side other deed mint. When this happened, the vast majority of all transactions in each block were all modifying the same state. Parallel execution would not have worked here. A DEX will contain trading on many unrelated pairs throughout each day. Yo, Sirius on Kick. How you doing, man? I've been live now for 44 minutes, averaging around about 6 viewers, and you are the first person to chat, to say anything in my chat. I was wondering when that might happen, and therefore I'm going to take pause and say, how do you do, Sirius? It's good to have you. Netski's back. Let's go back to 2 cans in a string. How you doing, Netskis? Good to see you too on Kick. You're the second person to chat in my chat after 44 minutes. I guess this is pretty deep, pretty heavy going. I like learning about this stuff. I like reading it. I kind of like seeing. It's like pouring water into a glass with a sponge over it. Some of that water is going to go down through gravity and through the sponge and wind up in the glass. A lot of it's going to get sucked up in that sponge and you're never going to use it. A lot of that information that I'm getting through from here is getting stuck in that sponge. You were watching. Cool, man. Thank you, dude. So, and we'll dovetail out of the white paper to take a look at some videos explaining it. You know, these guys are all on, and there's an interview with the CEO as well, so that's going to be intriguing to hear him speak. But I do think that it's, you know, everybody says DYOR. Everybody's saying it when you're looking into blockchains and you're looking at crypto. You should do your own research. I love doing my own research. I love doing it with you yahoos, and we can all research and learn together. Someone once said to me, "This guy knows his research," which is a very strange way of saying you've done some research. No, I said that once. This guy knows his research. Not the right way to explain that, but you know what I'm getting at. Okay, so I'm not even going to try to understand this diagram. Diagrams are meant to help things explain easier. In fact, when I was in high school, I'd always skip the diagram, and I probably wouldn't read the text. I'd just look at the diagram. But these blockchain diagrams, I mean, I got no idea what they're saying. I'm just going to trust it. Just trust the tech. In other words, parallel execution breaks down exactly when you need it. This observation is why Somnia has opted to make a single core go extremely fast instead of relying on parallel. Damn, I made a damn hot curry, so attention has been eating on it. You're eating a hot curry? I'm happy for that. Now look, maybe a meme will help me understand it. EVMs go brr, EVM goes brr. We need STNs with data. Forget about it. EVM compilation. Somnia executes EVM transactions. It scales by reaching a very high single core speed instead of attempting to parallelize. That's not a word, dude. You can't just add words to... That's not a word. You can't just add words to things. Adapt the program to be suitable for running on a parallel processing system. Okay, it's a word. It's a word I've never heard before. You can't use words I don't know. If you want people to understand this, you got to use the simplest words. The Ethereum virtual machine is a relatively simple stack-based architecture. Due to its implicit stack-based bytecodes are often naturally smaller in size than register-based bytecodes, but they contain many redundant operations. There are broadly 2 ways to execute a virtual machine bytecode: interpreted or native, which itself can be split into JIT or AOT. Okay, I was wondering what they might be. J allocation. I don't know. The former effectively simulates the virtual machine itself in software, while the latter translates the bytecode to native instructions, which your CPU then executes directly. Which your CPU executes directly. That's probably a key point. Looks like all the heavy lifting is going to be done by the nodes here. Ethereum, and by the way, that would mean if I could just use my small knowledge of how this stuff works, if what I'm reading is correct, and if I'm digesting it correctly, and the heavy lifting is going to be taken off the chain and put onto the node operator, I feel like there's going to be extremely high requirements to be a node operator, to be a validator of this, I'm going to say Solana, this Somnia chain. I think you're going to need to have a very high spec machine, a very high spec internet, and you're going to have to probably prove your worth by staking a hell of a lot of their native token, just because it looks like it's relying mostly on those node operators. If I'm understanding it even close to correctly, that's how I'm getting it anyway. And therefore, I think that there might be a limit to how many node operators are allowed to exist. I don't know. But anyway, we'll get to all that, I guess. Ethereum and most EVM-based blockchains run an interpreted VM to execute the EVM bytecode. This is often a relatively naive implementation which keeps its own stack and loops through each operation and looks up the functionality of each operation in a lookup table. This is very slow compared to native execution. Further, Solidity and other Ethereum compilers often optimize for bytecode size over gas. For example, they'll include code to generate large constraints instead of including them in line. Now that said constants, not constraints, but I guess it could go for both. This ends up including a large amount of runtime computation that can actually be statically resolved at compile time. To exploit these redundancies, Somnia includes its own EVM compiler, which translates EVM bytecode to x86. What was that noise? It's a little bit windy. This approaches near native speeds, native speed being the equivalent functionality of handwritten in C++. In benchmarks, this can execute ERC20 transfers in hundreds of nanoseconds, achieving millions of TPS on a single core. Okay. However, there is no free lunch as the compilation process is relatively expensive. For this reason, you would only do this on contracts that are called frequently, falling back to standard interpreted EVM on the rest. Oh, that's interesting. So it doesn't always use this new functionality. It only does it on the most important transactions, probably sending and receiving, because it's going to cost a lot. Okay. Hardware level parallelism. As mentioned above, parallel execution attempting to run unrelated transactions on different cores breaks down when you need it the most because it cannot handle correlated transactions, which are much more common during load spikes. This type of parallelism is also known as software parallelism. For this reason, Somnia does not attempt to parallelize unrelated transactions. It does, however, enable the CPU to hardware parallelize each individual transaction. And there it is spelled out to you, I guess. So you're going to be using your hardware, your CPU, and your bandwidth to create and to verify most of these transactions. This harnesses the single core parallelism available in modern CPUs to speed up every individual transaction, meaning this technique also works for transactions which modify the same state, helping during load spikes. So then, what is hardware level parallelism? Here comes another diagram. It looks interesting. There are things and there are other things that are red. I have no idea how to interpret this diagram. And therefore, I'm not even going to bother trying. But I should. Branch predictor, instruction fetch. runs it down to the instruction decode, down to the instruction execute, memory access, write back. Okay. I'm going to pretend I understood that. Oh, yeah. Those diagrams, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Modern CPU cores give the appearance that they execute assembly instructions in order. I guess that's this one, the left. Diagram showing the difference between sequential execution left and hardware parallelized. Okay, so now I can get a little bit more of an understanding here. So at this stage, it's the same. Register renaming. Okay. I kind of see what it's saying. The reality is that they're actually executing these instructions completely out of order and often in parallel with each other. For example, when reading a value from memory, the CPU will run ahead and work on future computation while waiting for the result. This is all completely invisible to the developer. This can cause massive speedups. Consider the case of an ERC20 token swap. The program at a high level completes the following steps in the first half of execution. Number 1, hash the sender account. Number 2, look up the sender balance. Number 3, hash the receiver account. Look up the receiver balance. Number 5, let's say the speed to hash is an account is 150 nanoseconds. Speed to look up 100 nanoseconds, so that's 350. If the CPU ran steps in serial, this would take 150 plus 100 plus 150. Yeah, okay, plus 100. Yep. 50 nanoseconds. However, in practice, these steps are compiled to native code. Your CPU hardware would execute 1 and 2 completely in parallel to 3 and 4 because of the lookup, causing the execution speed to be that. So that's double the speed. Okay. The problem is interpreting the EVM stops your CPU core from executing assembly in parallel. It stops it. To really harness the available silicon in your CPU, you need to execute native assembly. Somnia's compiler and databases are built to enable hardware-level parallelism of smart contracts. Okay, that kind of did make sense. Here comes their database. Now, this is a faster database. It's called IceDB. Has 3 key properties: deterministic performance, in-memory cache with read promotions, built-in snapshotting. So the first is deterministic performance. Most blockchains use an embedded database such as LevelsDB or Block's RocksDB. Rocks Danny Black? Danny Black Rocks? RocksDB? These databases are often optimized for write throughput and eventually flush all written database to disk to maintain a steady RAM load. So optimized for writing, not reading. This means that reads from the database can hit RAM or many different places on disk, depending on where the value is stored. Latency is, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So how much gas should a user be charged for a read? Should we assume the worst case scenario that every read hits disk multiple times? Well, according to this or the other diagram, it does, doesn't it? Or should we assume that some amount will hit memory? Okay. The former drastically limits the speed of the blockchain, and the latter allows an attacker to critically slow down your chain. Could we time the read on each node and charge the user based on how long the request took? Time the read and then charge based on how long it took? Unfortunately not, as this would not be deterministic across nodes. Okay, therefore we cannot change the gas based on this info. Somnia's IceDB has been built from the ground up to have fully deterministic performance. Every read and write to the database returns the result as a performance report. This report details exactly how many cold cache lines were read and exactly how many disk pages were read. Due to this info being deterministic, we can charge the user based on the actual load they put on the system. Reads that accessed frequent data and therefore hit RAM use less gas, and then we can fit more of them into the block. So how do they determine which is frequent data? Improved read and write cache. As mentioned above, databases that persist to the disk often have an in-memory cache which attempts to store frequently accessed data in RAM, right? Most databases tend to optimize for either read or write. With Somnia, we have created a cache that can do both. This enables the average read-write of IceDBs to be between 15 to 100 nanoseconds. Okay, built-in snapshotting. Blockchains require all nodes to periodically agree on exactly which state is in the blockchain after a given block. Makes sense. Most blockchains use a data structure such as the Merkle tree to retrieve a single state hash that encapsulates all the data on the chain. Merkle trees allow this hash to be updated with every write with reasonable performance, while allowing proofs of a particular piece of state to be generated for parties without access to the database. Okay, most blockchains then store each node in this Merkle tree as a standard key. This makes read and write from the tree very expensive, as every single node can result in massive latencies. Okay. The reality, however, is the data structure of these databases used under the hood already lends itself to a tree formation with vast sections stored immutably on disk. So that's the stuff that is going to be snapshotted, the immutable stuff that's not changing. IceDB utilizes this underlying immutable structure to support first-class state snapshots without needing the user's space execution engine to store a Merkle tree. So kind of how I'm understanding that, and I'm probably getting it wrong again, but the way I kind of read that is, you know how you get a JPEG and like some of the, well, break it right down, every image on the internet or on your computer screen is just pixels, right? And some of the pixels are the same color, exactly the same color. So when you use a lousy compression codec for either reducing the size of an image, and I'm not talking about the DPI, I'm talking about the pixel dimensions of an image, either reduce or even increase, there are algorithms that take a look at each of these pixels and determine which pixels need to change to achieve the final image, either the reduction or the enlargement. And if the pixel does not need to change color, they don't write that data. So therefore you get a smaller file size and you get lossy compression. That's kind of how I'm understanding this. If there is certain data that doesn't need to change on these chains whenever there's a process being written or read, then this Somnia IceDB kind of just predicts it or locks it and just reuses it. Is that what I'm understanding? I think that's what I'm understanding. Not on DLive tonight, Gibbs? I should be. Yeah, I'm on DLive. Unless they wipe me off, I'm on DLive. Thanks for asking. I'll just check. I mean, I didn't do anything different. Netskis, I didn't do anything different. Why am I not live on DLive? I'm not live on DLive. What the hell? Even though, fuck, I gotta tell you, I'm just gonna do this again. Fuck Beam. Seriously. Fuck Beam. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. DLive, right here. DLive is live. I'm live on DLive according to Beam. Go to DLive. Not there. That's a replay. That's not the right stream. That's a replay of an old stream. Got the audio sussed on Video Ninja. Man, I gotta tell you, I am getting the shits with Beam. I am really getting the shits with Beam. It's super unreliable. I wouldn't have even known it. I've just been streaming and every now and then I glance up at my Beam and everything looks like it's as it should be. Hit the OBS stop and start again usually fixes it. I'm not stopping and starting OBS. I'll stop and start Beam, but I'm not stopping and starting OBS. I'll stop it here, dude. I'll turn the tag off and back on, but I'm not stopping my OBS just for that. Everything else is live. Fuck Beam, man. So unreliable. And look at this. The preview, it just stalls. Super unreliable. Stop it. Multi-streaming will stop in a few seconds. It's offline. Turn it back on. Multi-streaming will begin in a few seconds. Somnia Blockchain, BitBoy tweeted, so we're looking. Now it's live. Now, can we check if it actually was live and it stopped, or no? So if it was live and it stopped, there'd be the tab down here, which would be the same as this stream. So that's what I'm saying. Like I just got to tell you, I don't think like this looks no different than what it did before, right? This is exactly the same setup. So what I'm saying is, if you rely on Beam to do your multi-streaming and your multi-chat, if you just physically look at it, you cannot verify that it's working correctly. There are too many times when this has not worked, and yet it says it is. I mean, I'm not going to go in and literally pull up every single one of my outputs and verify that they're live. Why would I do that? That's not like this interface should be enough, right? This interface should be enough for me to know that I'm live. So all I'm saying is Beam has a long way to go. I got to tell you, I would not recommend beam.gg to anyone, beamstream.gg to anybody at this point. There's too many times that this has happened. So I do not recommend you use Beamstream. I am using it, but I do not recommend it. It's not reliable enough. Super clunky. I would like to say something nice, but there's nothing nice to be said at this particular juncture. Just because you can't rely on it. But thanks for letting me know. Thank you, Netsky, for letting me know. Appreciate it. Now, where were we? I've got to turn my AC on. It's pretty warm in here. Give me a second just to turn my AC on and just that really pissed me off. Probably, yeah. Just give me a second. Close this door up. Oh, wait. Yeah, just turn the AC on for a bit. Pretty annoying, especially when we're doing a stream like a detailed crypto stream when, I mean, I'm trying to like, I don't want to be the guy who has to keep looking and verifying that the stream's all working. I just want to stream and really get deep. Okay, anyway, where were we? Let's learn about these compression techniques. When you have a lot of transactions, a lot of data needs to go between nodes. Once you are getting to the world of hundreds of thousands or even millions of transactions per second, you start creating a lot of data. A standard ERC20 transfer is about 200 bytes when you consider all parts. Imagine we're doing 100 million of those per second. That's 190 megabytes or 1.5 gigabits per second. It's not going to pass over the public internet, so you're either going to have a very centralized chain or limit your transaction rate. Makes sense? The basic power law, as 0 goes to n, the power of phenomenon, the frequency of phenomenon. Okay. Even the most simple diagram like that, I can't really understand. However, there is a lot of redundant information in those bytes. The number of bits theoretically required to send a piece of info in the logarithm is the logarithm of its probability of occurring. In practice, the probability distribution of which account is making a transaction or which contract is being executed or the arguments to the method is being called is very sharp based upon this power law. This means that the minority of those accounts or contracts are highly likely to occur in the data to be sent. For example, a particular contract was being called by 10% of transactions. Its address can be encoded in 3.3 bits. That's 48x compression ratio on the uncompressed 20-byte address. I don't really get what they're saying there. The redundant information, I get that bit. So that's when they don't use those bits. Streaming compression. This leads to the question of how we can effectively compress the transaction data moving between nodes. There are broadly two forms of compression, block compression and streaming compression. Block compression is given a single block of data and compresses it in a way where the receiver only needs that block of data to decompress it. Makes sense? This is a typical form of compression, which is utilized in zip or tar files. It's very convenient because the compressor doesn't need to make assumptions about what other information the client has or the order the info was sent. Streaming compression is able to assume that the sender and receiver both share an identical history of the data that was compressed and decompressed. Oh, that's interesting. Streaming compression is able to assume the sender and the receiver both share an identical history of the data that was compressed and decompressed. And it uses this assumption to build a large amount of internal implicit information which never needs to be sent. Okay, that makes sense. It can say it uses the address from 3.456 megabytes ago. For this reason, it achieves. So it doesn't have. So basically, it's chopping and change, or it's deciding what needs to be sent and what doesn't need to be sent, and therefore compressing and uncompressing only the relevant information. So why has no one done this before now? The downside, though, is that the sender and receiver must share an identical stream of data, okay, and the implicit data cannot be moved across machines or processes without a lot of bandwidth, meaning the same process must compress the full stream of data. Okay. This poses a problem for a blockchain, which typically has each block proposed by a different machine. It forces blockchains to use block-based compression, if anything, significantly impacting. Isn't that exactly how blockchains work, though? Somnia has a consensus and data availability algorithm designed to support streaming-based compression. This sounds more like peer-to-peer, doesn't it? No. Kind of, though. Sort of sounds like it's telling us about BitTorrent, but telling us without using that word BitTorrent. Each validator is responsible for publishing their own stream of data to their own blockchain. I guess that's the big difference. Each validator is responsible for publishing their own stream of data to their own blockchain. These are the data chains introduced earlier in the section. The fact that data chains use the same process for publishing the stream unlocks the ability for streaming compression. It's very interesting. That just seems to me like it's going to be way more user intensive. Hashes and signatures. A lot of the data in Ethereum transactions have a tight power law distribution, making them very compressible. There are however, two important exceptions: hashes and sigs. By definition, these completely change with a uniform distribution if any bit in the transaction is different, making them completely uncompressible. No two executed Ethereum transactions are identical. Okay. Transaction hashes are easy. They are, again, by definition, reproducible based upon the transaction data itself, so they can simply not be sent. Okay. Signatures are more challenging. They are required to be sent alongside each transaction. Due to them being uncompressible, this would heavily limit the compression ratios. However, we can aggregate signatures. Aggregate them. If we use the BLS signature scheme, BLS signatures can aggregate any number of signatures into a single sig, effectively achieving constant size for any number of transactions. Is this what they call multi-sig? Somnia uses BLS signature aggregation for a signature verification speed, and crucially, because it enables far better compression. Public keys, 3 of them. Aggregate, bigger, plus the message, plus the aggregate. Yes, no, signatures. This aggregate cryptography is an optional mechanism to submit batches of transactions where the cost to verify the SIG of all the transactions in the batch is similar to the cost of verifying just one transaction. Using large batches, this reduces the cost of signature verification by many orders of magnitude. Using large batches, so it only drops the process and the cost if it's done in large batches. Bandwidth symmetry. In a typical blockchain, one validator is responsible for proposing each block and therefore publishing the transaction data for that slot. Yes. If the blockchain throughput is X bytes per second and there are B blocks per second and N amount of peers, the leader must send N times X divided by bytes, requiring an upload speed of N multiplied by X bytes. Okay. In comparison, due to Somnia having all peers publish their own shard of data, each peer is responsible for publishing X divided by N times B, requiring an upload speed of X bytes per second. They also need to download everybody else's data for each block, requiring a download of N times X divided by N. So like I said earlier, that it's going to require a pretty hefty internet connection at scale. It's going to require a pretty hefty CPU at scale. And I think a node operator will probably be, it'll probably be very limited to who can perform this validation. Note that no less data is being sent overall, but the bandwidth profile has been amortized to be symmetrical across all peers at all times. Note that no less data is being sent. So the physical amount of data is the same, but yet it's less. He needs more blankets and he needs less blankets. No peer ever needs to upload at a faster rate than the bandwidth of the blockchain itself. But they need to do this constantly instead of only when they propose a block. Ooh. And this, so what happens when, I got a great question here for those tech heads. All right. If that's how that works, what happens when a validator loses connectivity mid-transaction? Mid-TPS, right? Mid-transaction, they lose their network. Power outage, thunderstorm. What happens at that point? If each block is being sent and received by the validator entirely, what happens when the transaction fails? All hell breaks loose, I guess. Here we go. Security. I guess this will answer it. Decentralization. Somnia philosophically believes in having sufficient decentralized services, not maximally decentralized. The fuck does that mean? Stays in a cache, maybe, Netskis. Yeah, maybe it does. In their cache? You're right. You could be right. It probably stays in their cache, and then when they get connectivity again, it goes back and then rehashes it and then redoes the transaction. Maybe. This is a weird way to say this. What are they saying? Somnia philosophically believes in having sufficiently decentralized services, not maximally decentralized. So only some of it's decentralized? Only the stuff that needs to be sufficiently. What this means is that you have enough decentralization of infrastructure to enable the good properties of decentralization, which is increased security, censorship resistance, and no single owner, while not trading off to degrade performance significantly. So that means that they're not decentralized. Did I read that correctly? They say that they're not decentralized. It's either full DeFi or it's not. You can't have both. Did I read that right? They believe having sufficiently decentralized services, but not maximally. What the fuck? Am I reading that incorrectly? Where's ChatGPT? Where's ChatGPT? Did I close it? I closed it. Damn it! I should log. I should have ChatGPT and Firefox as well, but I signed in on my Brave Trouser browser. I hit the free plan. Oh no, it just means a different model's being used. Break this. Does this statement? Does the following statement mean? There's a space there. That Somnia is not fully decentralized? I just want to make sure I didn't get this wrong. Yes, the statement suggests that Somnia is not fully decentralized by saying... Mayonnaise, wow! Who did that over on D-Live? By saying it philosophically believes in having sufficient decentralized services, not maximalizing decentralized, implies that while Somnia values decentralization, it does not pursue it to the extreme or complete extent. There may be some degree of centralization in its structure or services for practical efficiency or other reasons. And therefore, at that point, doesn't that mean that there's going to be someone that holds the keys? So all of this incredible tech and these faster bandwidth and this better way of doing things and all their mission statements, they're now saying that it's not decentralized. Someone holds the keys to it. Fuck. I mean, way to break it to us in the bottom of the white paper. I mean, that's bullshit, right? Go back to their page, to their website. Why isn't it fully decentralized? Why don't they make it fully decentralized? Who are the I bet there's a core team behind it, right? So who's the dudes that who are the ones that hold the keys and that can rug everybody? Damn, dude. I didn't even see the word decentralized. Yeah, here we go. No, the application. You know what it is, dude? The apps that they can build on it are decentralized. But the chain itself, Somnia's performance and cost enable a new class of decentralized applications. So the actual layer one is not decentralized. Man, that's a shame, isn't it? That's a shame. What this means is that you have enough decentralization of infrastructure to enable the good properties. We've read that. But what's the bad? Now tell us the bad. It should this paragraph. Okay, I'll read it because it's important. What this means is that you have enough decentralization of infrastructure to enable the good properties of decentralization, which is increased security, censorship resistance, no single owner or counterparty, while not trading off to degrade performance significantly. And then it should say, and the bad of that is that one of us holds the keys to everything. That should be in there if they're going to have transparency. For Somnia, the main validators of the network will be targeting hardware specs between a Solana and Aptos node. I told you that it's going to be based upon hardware. This will allow a large group of participants to join the network. Wait a sec. The main validators of the network. Wait. So there's going to be different groups of validators. The main validators of the network will be targeting hardware specs, and then that will allow a large group of others to join the network, but who do not have better hardware and connectivity. So there'll be us versus them, essentially. This will ensure the high level of performance needed for real-time mass consumer applications. There will initially be 100 globally validated. Only 100? That doesn't seem like much. How many validator nodes does Ethereum have globally? As of February 2025, Ethereum has approximately 1.4 million active validator validator nodes globally. Yo, Just Rev over on D-Live. How you doing, man? We'll get that. There will initially be 100. Only 100. 100 nodes? These dudes are the ones that are going to make a mint off this, right? These 100 validators that are the main validators. Wow. We expect this to grow as the network matures. Well, you'd want to grow a substantial amount from that to get anywhere near the actual Ethereum validators. We also incentivize decentralization and global footprint of the chain through our tokenomics. Where is that coming? As stated in the introduction, the network is secured by validators staking tokens to participate. This is a proof of stake network similar to other major blockchains. Yes, yes, yes. This will be further explored in tokenomics. I'm going to get to the tokenomics. So use cases, gaming, social-fi, metaverse. These are all ideas. DeFi, fully on-chain limit order books, real-time applications powering real blah, blah, blah. We'll see how that all pans out. Where are the tokenomics? Wait a sec, we should probably read this. The overview. The Somnia ecosystem extends far beyond its own blockchain. It also includes a set of omni-chain protocols that connect experiences, making them seamless and interoperable. Somnia has also created a front end for non-Web3 natives to interact on the Metaverse browser. The Metaverse browser? There's a browser for Metaverse? Browser or like actual metaverse? The metaverse browser is the optional unified consumer user experience onto the whole network. So they really want you to use the browser, the metaverse browser. Looks like Discord kind of. Engaging with blockchain applications can be a complex. This is specifically about their browser. They're calling it the metaverse browser, which is a bit confusing because the metaverse is typically not a browser. A browser is something you use to browse the internet, but they're saying the metaverse browser. It's a little bit of a strange wording, strange choice in wording. Engaging with blockchain apps can be a complex task, particularly for users unfamiliar with decentralized apps, Web3 wallets, and the mechanisms of blockchain-based ecosystem. The metaverse browser aims to address the challenges of accessibility and usability. It's designed to simplify the process of navigating and participating in the Somnia ecosystem, making application exploration more engaging and rewarding, while also abstracting the complexities of blockchain tech for the end user. This is similar to Warpcast in the Farcaster ecosystem. Farcast. The browser is an easy-to-use front end for the back-end protocols. Okay. The Metaverse browser serves as a gamified gateway to the Somnia ecosystem and chain, offering a user-friendly interface for engaging with a variety of content and key decentralized apps, providing an immersive game-like experience with pre-bundled dApps. To facilitate seamless participation, the Metaverse browser is equipped with a fully integrated Web3 wallet, abstracted from the user, making digital transactions effortless. It also uses a mobile-like quest system, rewarding users for their active participation in events, systems, and social activities. Okay. So the browser sits on top of everything. Then there is M Squared, Somnia Playground, and other experience engines. And off to the right of that are dApps, which are developed by anybody. The Somnia protocol, and everything underneath it sits below it. So let's read about... Where was the Somnia Playground? Here we go. Oh, yuck. Awful. Oh, that looks awful. The web-based playground is a feature that allows content creators to quickly and easily spin up web-hosted virtual society. Oh, God, yuck. The playground offers a suite of intuitive web-based authoring to... awful. This is now as content creators playground. Oh, yuck. Content creation. M Squared Origin platform. Open web engine. Okay. Protocols. Don't need to really look into the protocols. What's down here in experiences? We didn't really learn about the M2 project. This will be one of the major apps to be built on top of the Somnia chain. M2 has already supported many high-profile public events, such as Cosmo Pop, MLB and Edison, Major League Baseball. Okay. Oh, it's a virtual. Okay. NFT collections, browser, profile viewer. Profile viewers are a class of apps that allow users to view themselves, the items they own, and their friends. These are similar to Steam accounts, but based on-chain data. We envision that these would often be built into the metaverse browser, but they could also be M apps that browsers hook into. Okay, can we skip past all that crap and find the tokenomics? I didn't see the tokenomics down here anywhere. Docs, DevNet, Quest, brand assets, grants, blog, light paper, docs. Docs was where we were. Tokenomics. Tokenomics. Security. Where's the tokenomics? I don't have it listed there anywhere. Can we search this page? No. Don't see tokenomics here anywhere. DevNet, company, brand assets, grants, blog, help center. Tokenomics. Takes you to the Discord. Awesome. Blog. I'll decline all those cookies. Tokenomics. 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 I spelled it wrong. It's just the same page, dude. It's just the same page, just laid out differently. So the STT token So let's go back to ChatGPT. When is Somnia mainnet launch? As of today, Somnia has not announced a specific date for its mainnet launch. The project is currently in its DevNet phase, having achieved significant milestones, including processing of over 1.05 million transactions per second. Wow, that's more than it said. It was going to do 400,000. And demonstrating the capability to mint 300,000 NFTs per second. In January of this year, Somnia announced plans to launch a public testnet, allowing developers and community members to experience its capabilities firsthand. Additionally, Somnia has partnered with Uprising Labs to launch a 6-month gaming accelerator program aimed at accelerating Web3 gaming innovation. While these developments indicate progress towards mainnet, a specific date has not been disclosed. For the most current information, it's advisable to monitor their communications announcement. So what is the STT token? is that just a testnet token? Yeah, the STT Somnia test token is the native token on the Somnia DevNet, serving as a utility token for testing and development purposes. Developers and users can acquire STT tokens through a faucet on the Somnia DevNet website. These tokens are used to interact with various decentralized applications. So for solely for testing, they're not worth anything. They're not transferable to the mainnet, not listed on any. So when you see here talking about STT tokens, that's all testnet, which is fine. We understand that. So that's a lot of reading, right? I just did a lot of reading. Now let's turn it over to some other YouTubers who have already dug into this network and taken a little deep look in. However, I will say this: the videos I found are reasonably old. The first one's 10 months ago. So I don't know if I mean, I guess that's why we read everything ourselves and we dug in deep, so that now when we look at what these videos tell us, we can kind of have the benefit of hindsight, right? Like, these videos are 10 months ago, but now we're 10 months down the track. What have they done? Maybe they'll say things in these videos that they just didn't do. Maybe there'll be all differences and all wrong. Who knows? Let's take a look. This is from a channel called Alexandrus. And by the way, I haven't looked at these yet. So if these are just AI robots reading it, I am going to be very angry and I'm going to click off immediately. Not a good start.
Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's here by Alexandros, guys, and today I'm back again with another video. This one is a true banger. We are taking a look at Somnia, guys, the metaverse computer, and in today's video we will be
This is also a paid video, including paid promotion. So let's be clear. This is like the BitBoy tweet, but it's in video form.
I will be sort of introducing you to this project and platform, and we will be exploring it together, and then after this video I will prepare another video for you guys, which will be a longer, fully dedicated review of Somnia, in which we'll talk about multiple things, and I will also do a tutorial to avatars, which they also have, and that's a pretty cool feature that we'll also talk about into this video, guys. So yeah, this video will be sort of an introduction and, you know, kind of exploration type of video, so I hope that you'll enjoy it, and I hope that you'll tune in till the end, because I will be making more videos on them, especially if you guys will like this one, because at the end of the...
Get to the fucking point, dude. You haven't said anything yet. God damn.
So first of all, let me explain what Somnia actually is, okay? So Somnia, guys, is creating a virtual society with a layer 1 blockchain and a set of omni-chain protocols designed to bring millions of users into an open and unified metaverse, okay? Allowing users to move seamlessly across experiences. Somnia opens up endless possibilities for builders to create content that is portable and remixable content by upgrading existing NFTs, guys. And Somnia is actually developed by Virtual Society Foundation, which is an independent organization initiated by Improbable, which is a British startup that has been the forefront of building virtual worlds for over a decade, guys. And VSF...
As he reads out what we've already read, it strikes me as, is this solving a problem? Is Somnia solving a problem aside from the bandwidth issues and the, I don't know, the transactions per second? Is there a problem that this is looking to solve, or is this just we're flexing because the tech has moved on?
Has also received the initial funding from M Squared. So these are huge companies behind it, and that also speaks really good for Somnia, guys. So Somnia Blockchain, you have Somnia Protocol, Metaverses, Maps, and Metaverse Browser, okay? The blockchain for the Metaverse. Computing everything in the Metaverse needs a blockchain that goes beyond finance to enable millions of people to transact and move the logic of all Metaverse items on-chain. We need faster, cost-optimized chain for the Metaverse, guys. So first of all, it is highly scalable. As you can see, Metaverse experiences have tens of thousands of users, all buying...
Ask AI, that's a good point, dude. That is a great point. Let me do that. It's full screen here. That's why it's not popping out. Let's go back to here. Is the Somnia network actually solving a problem that currently exists with blockchain tech, or simply rehashing other ideas into one? Somnia claims to be solving existing blockchain challenges, but whether it truly introduces groundbreaking solutions or just repackages existing ideas depends on how its innovations hold up in real-world usage. Some of the problems: scalability. Somnia boasts a 1.05 million transactions per second, which, if accurate, vastly surpasses Ethereum. Now, that's all done so far in the DevNet testing phase, right? Its ability to mint 300,000 NFTs per second is positioned as a game changer for NFT-heavy applications such as gaming and metaverses. Interoperability. Somnia advertises omni-chain asset layer tech, aiming to make assets seamlessly usable across different chains. Make assets seamlessly usable across different blockchains. Are we talking about cross-chain swaps then? Because that already happens. While cross-chain interoperability is not new, bingo bango, see Layer 0, Cosmos, and Polkadot, Somnia claims to integrate this directly at the protocol level, then relying on third-party bridges. At the protocol level, then rather than relying on third-party bridges. But for the end user, they're still going to have to go somewhere and do something. Decentralization versus practicality. Somnia takes a sufficient decentralization approach rather than extreme decentralization, which is a trade-off many blockchains are considering, e.g. Solana and Avalanche with their validator models. Interesting. This may improve efficiency, but it also raises concerns about whether Somnia will be decentralized. That said, will be as decentralized as claims. But if you can't have some. You're either decentralized or you're not. You can't have both. Gasless transactions and account abstraction. Somnia reportedly supports gasless transactions. Like totally gasless? A feature that many blockchains, Ethereum, L2s, and Avalanche subnets and Near protocol have experimented with. That's news to me. It also incorporates account abstraction natively, making blockchain wallets more user-friendly. Is it innovation or is it just repackaging? The new, if Somnia truly delivers 1 million and 1 million plus TPS, transactions per second, its approach to scalability could be novel. Repackaged, features like interoperability, account abstraction, and gasless transactions already exist elsewhere. Yet to prove. Adoption in real-world usage will determine if Somnia actually solves blockchain inefficiencies or just integrates existing solutions in a new way. Would you consider investing or testing? I would not test it. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, that's a smart way to find things out by asking the AI. So let's continue watching. Even though I don't think this video is going to give us
objects.
Anything new than we already don't have.
We need a chain that can support hundreds of thousands.
And you know what? I'm going to just jump out of that one and look at them because that's 10 months ago. This one is closer this is 9 months ago. So let's take a look at this instead. Michael Rubel.
Layer 1 cryptos are typically the highest performing assets in the crypto space. Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, Avalanche, and countless others have the highest market caps and have produced the highest returns for investors over the last few years. And recently, I've been trying to find the next big Layer 1 cryptos for this up-and-coming bull market. I've looked in the artificial intelligence sector, I've looked in the metaverse sector, I've looked at just direct competitors to the likes of like Solana and Cardano, and I've been trying to come across some new L1 investments. Recently, I came across a token. They don't have a token that is live just yet, but it's called Somnia.
Now, is that what the website looked like? This is obviously the old website with the old font, but if you go here, the token, that's interesting. The token doesn't exist on the new branded version of the website doesn't include the token. Isn't that interesting? About us token ecosystem. So yeah, that's interesting. I wonder why they would have done that. Wayback Machine. Why would they have taken the token part off the website? Pick a date in 2024, April 16th. Just decline all the metaverse computer. Are we zoomed in too far or something? Where's the... there it is, up the top there. Oh, even then it was upcoming. You can't see because of the date, the Wayback Machine. Look at that. Token upcoming. So they took that off. They took that off, dude. Damn, where's the Wayback Machine? Let's see if it let's see if it went. That was in April of 2024. Let's go forward to say July 15th. I wonder if the token page ever existed. We'll see. Token upcoming still. That's in July. Let's go forward. Token is still upcoming. Damn, dude. Can we go back to the full calendar? Ah, bugger me hooters. Try again. Come on. I mean, I think we've already discovered what we need to discover. They took the tokenomics page down. Unable to connect to the Wayback Machine? That was weird. Well, let's check the closest. I mean, let's check if they're launching the DevNet in December. No, November they launched. Let's take November 15. Did I click it? You would assume here by now. No, the web page has just changed at that point. Bugger. Okay, well, either way, they got rid of the token page on their website. I wonder why that is.
And it ultimately brands itself, I found it on Twitter, it brands itself as the Metaverse Computer. It says it's an L1 blockchain and a set of omni-chain protocols that connects metaverses, enabling a new, open, and unified virtual society. The thing I like about this project is that it addresses some of the biggest problems we have seen with metaverses in the past. And that is, with traditional metaverses, one of the biggest problems is that they are have a lot of limitations and inefficiencies. They are economically inefficient in their approach. So normally developing a successful metaverse requires a balance between innovation and feasibility, like economic feasibility. Normally it is very expensive to do. There's an extremely high cost to build out these games and these metaverses, and takes a very long time for there to be substantial usage of the actual platform, if it ever even happens. We also see that the economic reality of composability. So creating a successful metaverse is extremely expensive and complicated by unpredictable markets. So there's a lot of risk in itself, but then when you add market volatility on top of it, it makes it even harder. Normally, central platforms are typically in control. So when it's conceivable to address these challenges through a centralized solution, such an approach often leads to misaligned incentives and unfavorable structure for a system intended to create value for its participants.
We read all this, dude. Nice of you to reread it, but if he's just going to
can see that Somnia is not only an L1 blockchain, but also a set of omni-chain protocols that connects the metaverse. And this is their ecosystem where they have the Somnia Blockchain, Somnia Protocol, Metaverse Maps, and Metaverse Browser. So you can see that they talk about this in their website, but also go into deeper detail on their white paper, which we'll go over in a minute. So with the blockchain for the metaverse, they say computing everything in the metaverse needs a blockchain that goes beyond.
So he's just going to read what we read, I guess. Yeah. I think I just wonder if there's anything about the tokenomics here, because it's the same as what we saw. So with that in mind, let's just skip forward to hearing the CEO. Now, this is only from 4 months ago, so this will be interesting because the timing on this will be just before the DevNet opened up. So Paul Thomas, the CEO and co-founder of Somnia. This has had 2,500 views, 0 comments, but let's see what he's got to say.
Blockchains are very good for financial style applications where you have like a continuous flow. But if you all of a sudden have tens of thousands of people doing one thing at one time, can't blockchains blow up? Look at the other side, Mint on Ethereum a few years back, it completely blows up blockchains. So I think for us, that's why we kind of built the blockchain in the first place, to solve this fundamental problem we had. The other thing as well is we've taken a very different approach to a lot of other chains. A lot of other chains out there are going for what's called a parallel approach. This scales very well when you don't have everyone interacting with the same account, smart contract, or piece of state at the same time. Problem is when you think about the metaverse use case, so if you think about like the other segment, that's all of the same.
Is this a 26-minute interview where they've got this fucking music playing and this stupid overlay?
Piece of state at the same time, and those parallel approaches don't really scale very well for those. So we've taken a very different approach with sequential scaling, which we think will be much better for the first use case of gaming and metaverse than other chains.
This has got to be just the intro, right?
About this today.
Yeah, hopefully. Please tell me that's just the intro.
We're sitting down with Paul just an hour before Token 2049, and we have the opportunity to talk about Somnia and his journey into the Web3. Thank you so much for joining the podcast.
No worries.
We're just bonding over London and how you flew to Singapore from there. You're born and bred there, but tell me about, not there actually, up north, but tell me about your journey into crypto and how did you get into it?
Yeah, so I started off, so I was a very early member of this company called Improbable. We did gaming and metaverse technology. So we basically sold technology that enabled massive online virtual worlds to the games industry for many, many years, and then pivoted into metaverse, where we kind of made stuff for real world applications like sports, music, and fashion. And so back in 2016, 17, I was a big proponent of us starting to move stuff more on chain, because this whole idea of the metaverse was about digital assets being bought and sold between people. And I was like, we should use blockchain to do this. We shouldn't put this on centralized databases. That means it's a global store where everyone can access it and everyone can use it. So I was pitching that internally a lot. The technology wasn't really ready yet back in 2016, 17. Ethereum was very early days and things didn't really work very well, I'll be honest with you. So fast forward to 2020, that's when we really started to pick up a lot more on the metaverse side of things. And that's when we really started to look through on the blockchain side, and really when I started my proper Web3 journey, I would say.
What a fucking lousy interviewer. This guy's just like, look at him. You're not even listening to him. He's just typing away on his computer. That is such a bad interview technique. If you're going to have someone there and they're going to spill their guts and talk about the thing that they believe in, the least thing you can do is look at them. What's wrong with this guy?
And that's when we really started to look through on the blockchain side, and really when I started my proper Web3 journey, I would say. That's when we started developing the technology and developing what now is Somnia today. So say I've been very crypto curious from about 2016, 17, and then been actually in the space, actually building from about 2020.
Yeah, I've always been bullish on...
Yeah, I didn't hear a thing you said because I was too busy looking at my computer typing. Like, dude, what the hell?
The metaverse, and we saw a big spike, especially with like Sandbox and Facebook renaming to Meta. But some might argue that it's dead now, so no one is making noise about it. What do you think is the reason that it went quiet? So now everyone's talking.
The reason the metaverse went quiet is because, have you ever looked at it? That Mark Zuckerberg meta thing? Not Facebook, but the actual metaverse thing is rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
about real world assets, deep end,
Yeah.
some other narratives are emerging. And I know that is the nature of crypto. It's like a narrative driven industry. But yeah, tell me more about it, and how do you feel about it? What's your take on it? Why has it gone so quiet?
Yes, I think first of all, metaverse is like a buzzword that it means a lot of things to a lot of people. So what I would say is the metaverse in the bigger sense has not really died at all. If you look at where consumers, especially Gen Z and Gen Alpha, are spending their time, they spend all their time in Roblox and Fortnite. These are metaverses. There are experiences where they spend all of their time digitally. So this kind of concept of the metaverse is dead, I think, is wrong. It's actually growing significantly. You're also seeing big brands kind of...
See, the problem with that take that he's just made is that if that's the case, then the metaverse has always existed. We've had Facebook since 2007 or something, right? So the metaverse has always existed. So what's the difference now? You can create a character and play a game. You could do that. Man, I did that when I was a kid playing on my Atari, right? So what's the difference?
Adopt it in terms of user acquisition, in terms of engagement. So it is growing a lot. I think what is slowed down a lot is the kind of crypto buzz around it. Like the big projects that came out in 2021, they're still kind of working on their core technology and still building up what they had promised, basically. So we've gone through like the peak of like hype cycle, and now we're in like what I call the trough of delusion, which happens a lot with technology. And now there's like a slow grind up of like more and more use cases and actual utility being made around the metaverse. I think you'll see more and more stuff come out, and then people start to realize, oh, this is a big thing. You also have big moves in AR and VR. I don't know if you've seen, obviously, the Apple Vision Pro. That obviously is changing the game a lot. And then yesterday, Snapchat came out with the new AR glasses.
The Apple Vision Pro didn't change the game. Not at all. The Apple Vision Pro, super expensive, really lame experience. Not that I've used one, but from everything I've seen online, just a complete fail, right? No one's going to wear that and walk around their town. Nobody.
I saw those. They don't look very good, but I definitely think this is kind of like a signal of where the technology industry is moving. And when the technology industry moves there, you'll see more people start building more assets and more things that can be used in those places. And so I think now, whilst the hype cycle is definitely gone, the actual building is starting and actual real value and real creation is being done with major brands, with all these different platforms. So what I would say is, I don't know if the hype cycle is going to come back. I think 2021 was quite a special time for the metaverse, with Meta changing its name and stuff like that. But the concept of it being dead, I think, is kind of wrong. I think just maybe in the crypto sphere, it's not as big as it used to be, but definitely in the global sphere, it's a huge deal.
I completely agree with you that the metaverse is not dead. But what do you think are the main catalysts that will bring the next billion users?
Yeah, so the billion user question is such a cheesy question.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing is the UX of Web3 has to get out of the way. So when a user is interacting with anything to do with Web3, NFTs, digital assets, digital currencies, that needs to be seamless to the user. They just want to ultimately go to an experience and have a good time at the end of the day. Now, but I think metaverse and gaming are these application spaces that can actually bring in lots of people that are not necessarily Web3 native and kind of bring them into the ecosystem. Now, what do I think those are going to be? I think there are a couple of things that are interesting for me. One side is kind of thinking about what we do in the real world and taking that into the digital world. So things that we do, like digital concerts, where we kind of take 3D motion cap imagery of a performer, turn that into 3D data in real time, and allow people to watch a performer in a concert style environment, but in a digital space. That I think is a really good bridge, because you get people who want to go to see, say, their favorite K-pop artist. They can now see that in the digital realm, and you're going to get hundreds of thousands of people who want to see that K-pop event, but go there in the metaverse and then interact with Web3 worlds. The other one is sports, I think, is a big one, where basically people going to watch, say, a football match or a baseball match, kind of watching that in a digital space, I think is a huge place to bring in a lot more users. We currently work with Major League Baseball, where they're doing digital baseball events. I think that's going to be a big space as well, and big sector. The final one is gaming. Like, I think everyone kind of talks about this in the space. Games are ubiquitous now. I think there are over 1 billion people who play video games globally. And that kind of mega hits Web3 game, I think, will bring in a lot more people into the space very, very quickly, bring them onto Web3 rails and allow them to interact. So I think those are the three major application spaces. I think that essentially what we're looking at is entertainment and gaming. These will be the spaces that bring in a lot more people, I think.
And what do you think would be the killer application? Because you outline a few use cases, but some people use the metaverse for work. Some people would just interact with their friends within that environment. Other thing that's very good for gaming. what do you think would be the killer app that we would need to onboard with that?
Yeah, so I think ultimately the metaverse is about connecting with people. So getting.
I feel like this interview, I really hope that we get into the tokenomics, the stuff that hasn't been discussed since this project launched. So we've heard all about this metaverse, and we've heard all about the seamless integration of web apps and Web3, and how that this guy wants to bring it all into one and make it all seamless. But we haven't heard anything about what the token of this chain is, how it's going to work, distribution, who are these central entities that are stopping it from being decentralized. I'd love for this interviewer to ask him these questions.
People who maybe are digitally very different places globally, so they can connect together digitally. And it also means that anyone can go to anything, because all you need is an internet connection now. So it doesn't matter whether
because what he's saying right now, all that shit is already existing. The idea of watching a digital performance, you can do that. I mean, you'd rather go to the gig, but if you can't, for whatever the reason, you can usually stream it online, or at least you can watch someone's YouTube video of it after the fact. So that already exists. Watching baseball games live, that already exists. We've had live sports on television forever, right? So the stuff that he's talking about already exists. I don't really know why that needs to be on the blockchain. It already works very, very well how it is right now. But if you can give me a use case and something that's groundbreaking and new, then I'm all ears. But right now I'm just hearing whatever. I'm not hearing anything innovating.
India and South America and Africa, in Europe and in America, you can go to these places now. So I think for me, it's about these killer apps are going to be digital spaces that people want to go to, but they can't necessarily get to in the real world. So things like big music events where you have thousands of people gathering together in these large crowd style environments. We're obviously pushing that kind of angle a lot. Music, sports events where you have millions of people kind of gathering together to watch a sports event together. I think these are like mega killer apps. I'm also personally quite bullish on the AR angle, because I think what you get with AR is you can augment the real world experience. So with digital experiences and make that more compelling and more interesting. So that's another form of the metaverse. I think a lot of people think of it as just virtual reality, but I think augmented reality is going to be a big space, which brings on a lot more users as you kind of see augmented reality glasses becoming more.
The only place that augmented reality will ever make a dent will be in porn. Let's be honest. No one's going to watch a sporting game if the ball can come out of the TV and whack you in the head, right? But everybody's going to want to do that if it's the girl can come out of the screen and whack you in the head, right? No one's going to do it for anything but that.
Snapchat just came out with their new glasses yesterday. They look a bit clunky because the tech is early, but I think technology people, this is being a massive investment in the technology industry in general, and you're going to just see this trend continue. I'm personally not very bullish on the work case scenario. I think at the moment it's just not as good as being in person, and you're not going to replace that. We at Somnia, we're actually a globally distributed team, and so I've always tried to work through how do you make a kind of workplace culture when you're all kind of geo-distributed. So we actually hang out a lot in the metaverse and kind of be there together, play together. We actually game together quite a lot in metaverse style experiences. I think that's a really nice way for people to connect and be together and kind of socialize. But in terms of actually doing work there, kind of on a whiteboard and stuff, it's not quite there yet. I think we need a few more generations of hardware technology who are really ready to kind of work in the metaverse. But I do see
that's a weird approach for him to take, because if he's talking about watching sporting events together and then going and seeing gigs together, that's all of our downtime. So why can't that also include your uptime, your work time? Why is it only a recreational thing? If the tech is there and the tech is purportedly good enough to watch a major sporting event together with millions of other people, why can't it be good enough to have a meeting with 10 other people that you would have to go to the office for? I don't get that. If he's going to propose how rad this is, then why is it only for entertaining?
Ultimately, but I think we're still a few steps away from that. So for me, it's going to be the entertainment and sport and gaming style experiences, which really put in a lot more users much quickly.
You mentioned music events and social gatherings, and I know that some people would attend virtual events within Roblox, and it's quite popular among the younger generation. I played a few video games there, but I don't really get it. I grew up playing AAA video games, so I think it's a bit clunky, but also it's just weird. I don't get it. It might just be my age, showing my age here.
Yeah.
But do you think they would need that AAA experience to onboard the average person? Because I consider myself Web3 native, but even I don't get it. So now imagine people that are not even within the community, they'll be a lot more skeptical. Yeah, what do you think would need to improve? What do we need to enhance to get to that level?
Yeah, so I totally agree with you on the Roblox thing. I have the same thing. Like I'm in the space. I personally don't get it. I think what we don't get is this is a place where people hang out. They socialize together. They can just be together. And because if all your friends were there, you would probably hang out there a lot more. And because your friends aren't there, you're looking at it more as like a gaming entertainment experience where it's not that good compared to say a AAA video game. So I think the question is, what's the next step? And also, how do you onboard the next step people? So I do actually think fidelity is very important. So we push this at Improbable when M squared, where having these higher fidelity experiences that feel more realistic, I think will be much more compelling to say our audience and kind of even older generation. But I think it's also just access modes. I think a lot of the time, if you look at a lot of metaverse applications today, you either need a gaming PC or a very high-end phone. And really, we need to think about experiences that can be accessed by anyone on any device. I think the big thing that we've been looking at is just TV screens. So if you think about a 50-year-old, like much older than us, they sit all their time in front of the TV rather than on their phone or on their PC. So you really want to get access to these experiences through the TV to get access to those people. And then you need to think through ways where we can get access on any mobile device, because that's the most ubiquitous device in the world, where anyone can just be on their mobile device, hanging out with a low internet connection and being in these spaces together. I think basically it's about broadening access to a lot more people to really get a lot more people involved.
And then you mentioned that actually that's the social
Hey,
experience.
How you doing, man? We're just taking a look at the Somnia network here, man.
Within this virtual worlds. And are you concerned that the new generation will be spending a lot more time on their computers?
I got to be honest, though. I'm going to skip forward and I'm just going to see if he does talk about tokenomics.
Another thing I would say is we are already becoming very digital native. If you look at your screen time on your phone, it's more immersive and more interesting.
I should have probably asked this question earlier, but tell me a bit more about Somnia. I know that you guys are an L1.
You mentioned Pi the other day. Yeah, interestingly, Pi, what is it now? 5 p.m. 6 in 2 more hours, Pi hits mainnet. So if I won't be live at the time, but I feel like it might be worth keeping an eye on it, watching along. I'll check right now what's going on in terms of before it's launched. In the Delta app, Pi is down. Holy shit. It's down to 20. One Pi is trading, well, not trading because it's not live yet, but $29 is the market sentiment. That's down from, I think it got up to $200 a token. Interesting. Be interested to see what happens in 2 hours when it launches.
Support over 200,000 transactions per second, and you enable projects to build metaverse experience.
Did he just say 200,000? Because it's up to 1.05 is what he said.
One, you support over 200,000 transactions.
He got that number wrong. It's on their white paper. It's 400,000, but now, as of today, they're proposing 1 million transactions per second.
Per second, and you enable
already tested in the DevNet
projects to build metaverse experiences supported by blockchain environment. I've
been mining Pi for about 1.5 years. I guess I've been doing it for probably a little longer than that, dude. I've been mining it, I guess, since sort of around, I guess, the end of DLive days. I have acquired, let me tell you, that's the first time that's ever happened. My Pi wallet's not loading. It's just, oh, there it is. It's just spinning. 3,251. Am I not? Oh, I wasn't mining. My mining was off. There you go.
It's a very unique and specific use case of the blockchain technology. So run me through the thought process of like, why did you decide to build this particular blockchain? But also, could you compare it to why should projects use your blockchain than Solana, let's say, because they have like comparatively high throughput as well. So yeah, 2 questions there. why the thought process behind building a blockchain that's specifically for the metaverse, and why your blockchain over any other?
Yeah, so the blockchain for the metaverse basically came about from why we created it in the first place. So as I said, I used to work at this company called Improbable. We did metaverse gaming technology and services. That really spawned these kind of large-scale experiences that I kind of talked about, the sports experiences, music experiences, and the kind of more metaverse gaming experiences. And the problem we had is we wanted every single digital asset in these experiences to be interoperable, so it can move across all the experiences, and also be backed by an NFT at the end of the day, so on the blockchain. The problem we had was a scaling problem. We tried all the technologies that existed in the market at that point in time. None of them could scale to the capacity needed, because blockchains are very good for financial style applications where you have like a continuous flow. But if you all of a sudden have tens of thousands of people doing one thing at one time, can't blockchains blow up? Look at the other side mint on Ethereum a few years back, it completely blows up blockchains. Even more recently with Solana, with all the meme coin craze, Solana's been getting very congested and had a lot of problems. I don't know if you're going to try to use that, but Solana became very unusable for a while. There's too many people at the same time doing stuff. So I think for us, that's why we kind of built the blockchain in the first place, to solve this fundamental problem we had. But now, so in terms of why I'd say use Somnia versus a Solana, one thing I would say is we made a very conscious design decision to build it on top of the EVM. So that means that you can take all the existing assets that live on top of Ethereum, on top of the L2s, move that onto the Somnia blockchain. You can also, any code you've written in Solidity that will run on top of the Somnia blockchain. So we made a very conscious decision to stay inside the EVM ecosystem. The reason for this is, one, there's a lot of developer tooling out there and kind of ecosystem that helps you build content much more easily on top of the EVM. I built technologies in the past where I tried to get adoption of a new programming language, new paradigm. I tried to do this in the gaming industry. It's very painful and very, very hard. I would not recommend that to anyone. So we like, go where the developers are now. And also it's where all the assets are as well. So I think one of the killer features is the EVM. The other thing as well is we've taken a very different approach to a lot of other chains. A lot of other chains out there are going for what's called a parallel approach. This scales very well when you don't have everyone interacting with the same account, smart contract, or piece of state at the same time. The problem is when you think about the metaverse use case, so if you think about like the other segment, that's all of the same piece of state at the same time. And those parallel approaches don't really scale very well for those. So we've taken a very different approach with sequential scaling, which we think will be much better for burst use case of gaming and metaverse than other chains out there today.
Yeah, and on that, do you think that every asset should be on the blockchain because you guys have such a high throughput? What do you think is the best way for any company or any project that's building on top of you to do it? Do you still think that there will be some components that will be off-chain and only parts of it will be on-chain, like the assets that you earn in the game? Or what do you think is the best approach for gaming studios to do that?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. So the transaction throughput of Somnia is beyond just having the assets on chain. What you can start doing now is moving the logic of objects that normally lives off chain and moving that on chain. What that means is that logic now becomes interoperable and reusable across lots of different experiences. And it also means that people can modify that logic and change it. So you can create forks and mods of games much easier than you traditionally can. So I think the question you're asking is around what should game developers do? I think it comes down to what is the game you want to build ultimately. If you're trying to build a super fast-paced action shooter like a Call of Duty style game, that I would not put all of the logic on chain. It's not. You're always going to have latency trade-offs and performance trade-offs that are moving that off chain. So that I would always put off chain. Having the assets on chain still makes sense because then they become tradable and interoperable, blah, blah, blah. But logic should definitely not. I think for a lot of
Didn't he just contradict himself right there?
games though that are more strategic or slightly slower paced, that you can start to think about moving more of the logic on chain, which allows you to kind of create these ecosystems which more people can build off your initial content.
Is this guy going to ask anything about tokenomics?
Game developer. I think there are some.
The name of it. So yeah, could you tell me a bit more about it and how you enable 2D assets to get easily integrated with the
Is what we call the world builder. So that allows you to build a world from scratch, which allows for the thousands of people to be in the same space at the same time.
Tell me a bit more about the roadmap. When are you guys planning to launch mainnet? And then yeah, what's on the roadmap for you for next year?
Yeah, so we're actually in what we call beta net phase at the moment. So this is the initial launch of the protocol that enables the interoperability that I talked about before. And with that, we're kind of pulling in a community. We're getting to create content, create digital assets, create digital experiences, hang out together online. So the next big phase for us will be our DevNet, which we're currently looking at mid-November.
So when did this go live? Sorry, 4 months ago. Okay, so they're in DevNet right now.
Timeline to release that. So that'll be the first kind of public version of our blockchain out there. That DevNet will kind of have two modes. One will be a private DevNet, primarily aimed at early adopters and developers who are building apps for the chain. Then we'll do some public tests where we'll do like a big load test, getting in as many users as possible to push the transaction limits and push the performance qualities of the chain. Early next year, say like February timeframe, we're looking to go into testnet, and then mainnet we're looking at end of Q2 next year. Now, should caveat this, technology is always complicated and hard to build, so don't set these dates in stone. These are our current roadmaps. Things are likely to change, but that's currently what we're working towards and what we're hoping to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. And how can people get involved in the DevNet, testnet? What's the application requirement?
Yeah.
How do you select the people that will have access to those?
Yeah, so at the moment, we're looking for two things. One, we're looking for teams who are looking to build these kind of high-scale, real-time applications that are on-chain. So that could be a fully on-chain game. We haven't talked about other applications like fully on-chain social media, a central order book, like a DEX, basically, that is fully on-chain. So there are lots of different applications we're looking at. We're really looking for dev teams who are wanting to push the limits and kind of go beyond what you can currently do on existing blockchains today. So there's an application process that we'll be launching in late September for that, where people can kind of apply for that. The other thing we're looking for is existing kind of ecosystem projects that are in the broader EVM ecosystem that want to kind of deploy onto our chain and bring in their user base there. We're interested in working with those because it kind of proves that we're compatible with everything else. It will just kind of work seamlessly. And the third thing is content creators who want to build these kind of gaming experiences or metaverse experiences with the toolchain that we're providing. We have kind of application form online there. You can come in and start using the toolchain. You can use it today, but we'll help kind of guide you through that process and work through that process. The other one that we're particularly interested in is NFT projects, taking kind of 2D PFP projects, turning those into 3D interoperable avatars and allow them to be used across the metaverse. That's another place that we're looking to bring in more people into the ecosystem. So you can just go to our website, somnia.network. You can find all the kind of application forms there, and it's pretty straightforward.
Nice. Thank you so much for your time. I know that you'll be going to Token 2049.
Nothing about the tokenomics. That's a shame. I want to find if there is any YouTube video, Somnia tokenomics. That's a general Somnia. Has Crypto Wendy O. Sui. Nine months ago, 10 months ago. This is only 5 minutes. Let's see if she mentions anything about the tokenomics.
Do you guys remember all the hype that was surrounded about the metaverse last cycle? And there were so many projects that were dropping every single day. I invested in a lot, I made a lot of money, but I also lost a lot of money. And they were literally just pumping out projects like crazy. But the issue with the metaverse is we have so many different chains, plus the high cost to participate in all these metaverses. And to be honest, the masses...
Does she intentionally not look at her camera? Like just look past it and talk like that? I'm talking to you, but I'm not actually talking to you. I'm not looking at the camera. Like what is with that? It's just
They're not going to want to deal with that. I don't even want to deal with that, and I am in crypto. But today...
If you're not going to look at the camera, why have a camera?
On the O Show...
Like, you might as well be talking like this. Could just be doing the same thing like this. I'm really, really interested in investing in this Somnia token because the high throughput of transactions per second, it's amazing. This is something that we've never seen before. Like, what is going on here? Like, look into the fucking camera or turn it off.
everything crypto and NFTs every day, we have a solution that will bring all of the metaverses together so you can enjoy concerts or hanging out with your friends here or doing this and whatever it is. The project is called Somnia, and I think that they're going to do some really cool things when it comes to the metaverse.
Is this a paid promotion like the BitBoy tweet? Does it tell us? Partnered. 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 Partnered up.
Let's go ahead and get into it. So Somnia is a new layer 1 blockchain with omni-chain protocols that is designed to bring together multiple metaverses into a single unified virtual society. And Somnia actually has the capacity to bring millions of users into one metaverse, allowing them to move easily across different experiences while offering...
So it's the same talking points that we've already heard of. Is there any discussion of tokenomics? Features. BetaNet coin. What's CoinDesk? Conclusions. When did this go up, by the way?
News story, as you guys can see.
Oh, this is from April, dude. This is from April of 2024. There's going to be nothing about tokenomics on that. Okay. I thought there might have been the potential that we can discuss tokenomics of Somnia. There isn't. However, what we should do, I'm going to log in, or at least I'm gonna attach my wallet. So if we go to the Somnia page here, I just wanted to find out what these quests were. This Discover Quests section, what's this all about? Because at this stage, this is not public, and what we've seen in the past is sometimes these projects launch and they get you to do things such as posting socially, creating a video or a live feed, something about the project. And in return, they provide you with not the token, they give you something that then later will be transferable to the token. So what I'm saying is, even though I don't think this project is solving anything that really needs solving, I could be wrong. I probably am wrong, right? I don't know anywhere near as much about this stuff as these guys do. But in my mind, what I've seen today, what I've read today, what I've learned today, I don't see how this is groundbreaking. But if you can get in early and secure some of their token before it actually launches by doing these quests, I'm not even sure if that's what this is, but I'm assuming that's what it is, then it might be worthwhile doing those things and just holding on to that thing that then they're going to convert to the actual token, assumably, and then deciding what you're going to do with that later on. He mentioned before in that interview, the CEO mentioned end of Q2 this year, 2025. So at the very earliest, you could look at mid-year 2025 for a public launching of this program or of this protocol. So at that point, we would love to see what this actual Discover Quests is all about. So let's see. So here we go. Now we've got to sign in with a wallet, right? And I don't have a wallet signed in yet. So I'm just going to open up I'm going to use Phantom, I guess. I guess I'm going to use Phantom Wallet. I don't really want to use my MetaMask because that's the kind of the one that I use for actual things. Phantom, arguably I use Phantom for that as well, but let me just sign into the Phantom skis. Let me just tell you this, I use Phantom for Haktui. So that all went to crap. So there's nothing else in there except for a bit of Solana and a little Haktui. So here we are. Monad testnet is here. I don't want to go Monad. So here's my Solana wallet. There's about $60 of Solana and there's about $26 worth of Haktui. Refresh this page, connect your accounts. So I'll sign in with Phantom. Confirming will allow this site to view balances and activities for the selected accounts. That'll be fine. Unsupported network. This website is trying to use a network that Phantom does not currently support. The network isn't it on the Ethereum network? Oh, I won't be using that then. What network is it supporting? Oh, it's the testnet, of course. Oh, well, at that point, it's the DevNet for. Let me just confirm. I was on the Phantom. Wait, let me just. Hang on one sec. Sorry about this. Oh, there's Pi network in there. How long till that? Oh, 2 an hour and a half. I'm gonna just try my MetaMask, even though. Oops. Even though here at this particular juncture, I'm not going to be putting an RPC in for their mainnet, for their DevNet, but I will try this. I'll do it off scene, but I'll try this with MetaMask. This account wants to, yeah. Requesting signature. I can sign a request for that. Okay, that worked. Okay, so now, okay, swish. Okay, so that all worked fine there. It didn't like Phantom Wallet, but here we are in Somnia. Okay, so start questing. There's campaigns. So exactly, see these points here? 330 points. Oh shit, I didn't mean to click that. That's a good sign. It doesn't tell you what they're for. Start questing. Quests. Just click one at random. Taking a look at one of these at random. This is not looking good for the Somnia network. If we just learned all about how they've got this great thorough, their TPS is amazing. These aren't even loading, dude. And I am logged in here. My wallet is in. Where is my connected wallet? Here, right? Where? I'm signed in here, right? Yo. Jesus. Wow. Scared the shit out of me. Therein lies the joy. Yeah, I'm not getting anywhere here. What's... I've already requested a signature. Okay, so there's my wallet address up the top there. So I'm signed in. I'm definitely connected. Maybe it disconnected me or something. Let's just try this one. Are you kidding me? Now, maybe it's because of the Brave browser. I'll turn off shields. Have I got to reconnect again? Oh, god damn. Are you serious? I've got to reconnect again with this? This power button up here? Every time? Wait for it. Okay, I'm connected. My wallet's up the top there. Let's take this first one again. Damn, dudes. Doesn't like that. I'm in the Brave browser. Shields are down. My wallet's connected. Campaigns. Is it because I'm not in connect to the DevNet? See your account and suggest transactions. Connecting to the DevNet here. Add the Somnia DevNet. Approve. That's probably why it wasn't working. I wasn't connected to the DevNet. Chain ID returned by the custom network does not match the submitted chain ID. That's sketchy. That's sketchy. I'm canceling that. The chain ID returned by the developer does not match. Did you see that? Okay, I'm not touching any of this. I'm not touching any of this. DevNet. Approve. The chain ID returned by the custom network does not match the submitted chain ID. RPC Somnia.network. Chain ID 50311. It says here, the Somnia DevNet is open to the public for testing during specific hours with an indicator showing its active status. Up here it's live. Developers can apply for whitelisting to gain access to the DevNet along with advanced tools for building. Public users can test the Block Explorer, MetaMask wallet, and accessible dApps like DEXs and games using native token and DevNet STT test token. So these quests that I was trying to work out whether we could apply for doesn't look like something that we can actually do here. Just check one at random again. Nah. So that there is going to limit our ability to partake in this at the early phase that we're in. And I got to tell you, from what I saw in this stream today, I did not get riveted. I did not get excited by anything that I saw here. I don't know if you did, but I certainly did. I did not walk away from this thinking, wow, that's amazing. I walked away from it thinking, okay, maybe there's a use case for that, but we've already got most of those use cases. But I did think that maybe we could get in early and just get some of those quests down and see where it takes us. But even that's being clunky and not working. And I don't know what to say from at that point, like if those things don't work, and the fact that there's a big typo on the main page of their front of their website, consensus is spelt wrong. I mean, that's, I don't know, like there should be someone proof checking that stuff, right? Forget your TPS, get your spelling bee done better before you go further.
I hate to interrupt you, Nick. Hello there. But anywho, I'm gonna go to bed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.